Hey, what's happening, everyone? It is I, the man, the myth, the mustache, Tim here, and I've got a brand new video for you. Welcome to part 4 of What If Deku Had 100% OFA Redux. With that out of the way, let's get this story going, shall we? Midoriya was getting ready to go to class. A couple of days had passed since the USJ incident. The school wanted to give the students time to recover. Midoriya's arm was already healed by Recovery Girl the day of the USJ. When he got to class, he saw the USJ incident was still on the news, and the police and press had been questioning Shigaraki, who was sent to Tartarus prison. Midoriya arrived in class. His classmates were also talking about the attack, and Kaminari mentioned they felt like celebrities, to which Jiro said, "Get over yourself, they're only interested in the hero course being attacked." Soon, Aizawa entered the classroom saying, "Morning, class. I hope you're all ready because your fight isn't over yet." The whole class was worried. They wondered if more villains were about to attack. Aizawa then elaborated. "We're going to start training for the sports festival, a rare opportunity to get scouted by pro heroes all over the country. That will only come 3 times in your life." After class, Midoriya, Uraraka, and Ida have a conversation on why they wanted to be heroes. After Uraraka told her reason for wanting to be a hero, Midoriya felt she was the most grounded out of all of them. The 3 were going to lunch, but All Might came in and asked Midoriya if he wanted to have lunch with him instead. Midoriya went to lunch with All Might, and they had a discussion about how Midoriya was improving with his use of One for All. All Might mentioned that the sports festival was coming up, and Midoriya needed to present himself proudly to the world and say, "I am here." The next few days, the whole class spent time training for the sports festival. While everyone else focused on training their quirks, Midoriya just spent his time trying to improve his control of One for All. The day before the sports festival, when the students were going home, they found a crowd of people in front of their class blocking the exit. Bakugo threatened them and left. Soon, Shinzo appeared and said that he may be taking the spot of one of the people in the sports festival if he did well enough. The day of the sports festival arrived, and before it started, Todoroki declared war on Midoriya, saying, "You have the number 1 hero in your corner. As the son of the number 2 hero, I will defeat you." Midoriya nodded and said, "Well, Todoroki, everybody including all the other departments are giving it their all, and I won't be doing any less than them. I am gonna win, Todoroki." Everyone went to the arena, and in the inauguration, Bakugo said a few words. He said, "I just want to say, I'm gonna win." To the backlash of everyone who wasn't at the sports festival, the first event was announced, and it was a 4K race around the stadium. Everyone got ready just as the race was about to start. President Mike counted down. 3, 2, 1, begin! Everybody began running, and President Mike asked Aizawa, "What do you think is a thing to pay attention to in the first stages of the race?" Aizawa simply answered, "The door." The robots came out as Todoroki was in the lead. He froze the ground, freezing every contestant he could, as well as knocking the robots off balance. With this tactic, he was able to keep past the robots and make them fall on other students. Midoriya evaded the falling robot by jumping up and using 5% of his power, smashing the robot away from him in the opposite direction. He landed and continued running, this time landing in second place. He kept up with the 5% power, moving it to his legs to move faster, catching up to Todoroki by the time they were at the second obstacle course. Todoroki noticed Midoriya catching up and tried to freeze him in place, but Midoriya evaded most of the ice until he was eventually stuck in the middle of the obstacle. Todoroki pulled ahead as Bakugo caught up to them. Midoriya looked back and saw other students coming up as well. He decided to use a Detroit Smash to break the ice he was trapped in and free himself, before moving towards Todoroki and Bakugo, who were now right in front of him. He decided to use 100% power to jump over the upcoming minefield. Doing this, he left a big crater in the ground and zoomed by Todoroki and Bakugo. He went so fast that he reached the finish line and crashed against the wall in the stadium. He was then sent to the infirmary to heal until the next round started. The second event announced was a cavalry battle. Midoriya had 1 million points and was instantly avoided by everyone until Uraraka decided to pair up with him. Midoriya was also approached by Mei Hatsume, who wanted to get the most spotlight she could on her new toys. Midoriya then asked Ida if he wanted to team up, but Ida had already decided to team up with Todoroki. Midoriya then came up with a plan B and got Tokoyami on his team. When the whole event started, they decided to run away in order to protect the 1 million points. The event was pretty much like in the anime, with the small exception being that Midoriya could use one for all without breaking his bones. He managed to keep everyone away by using 5% of one for all, and at the end of the cavalry battle, Midoriya's team claimed victory. Todoroki's group ended up in second, and Bakugo's in third, with Shinzo's being in fourth. The third event of the sports festival was the fight tournament. The fights were announced, with the first one being Midoriya against Shinzo. Before the fight started, Ojiro warned Midoriya to not answer any of Shinzo's questions, as that is how he brainwashed people. Midoriya reflected for a moment on this, and got ready for the fight. The fight started, and Shinzo began insulting Midoriya, which didn't work. Midoriya got ready to attack, thinking he didn't need one for all in this fight. Then Shinzo began insulting Ojiro, and Midoriya reacted, getting brainwashed. Shinzo told Midoriya to be a good little hero and step out of bounds. Midoriya tried to resist, but was unsuccessful. Shinzo started talking about his life. As Midoriya kept getting closer and closer to out of bounds, he began having strange visions. He saw about 8 people in the door, and a strange feeling began overwhelming him. He activated one for all in his fingers and flicked them, causing a massive wind pressure. He then turned to Shinzo and ran at him. This time, Midoriya decided that Shinzo was a threat, and without responding to a single word he said, Midoriya punched Shinzo out of the ring with 5% of one for all. Midoriya had won and moved on to the next round. The next few fights end the same way as they do in the anime. Todoroki beats Sero by a landslide, Kaminari loses to Ibara, Mei forfeits after toying with Ida and using him to advertise her inventions, Ashido beats Aoyama, Tokoyami beats Yaoyorozu, and unfortunately, Uraraka lost against Bakugo. After a draw, Kirishima beat Tetsu in an arm wrestling match. And now, the second round of fights started. This time, it was Midoriya versus Todoroki. Before the fight began, Midoriya found Endeavor in the hallway and talked to him. They pretty much have the same exchange they do in the anime. When the fight actually started, Todoroki began to try freezing Midoriya in place. However, Midoriya countered by throwing a 5% Delaware smash at Todoroki, breaking the ice. This cycle repeated a couple of times. Then, Midoriya yelled at Todoroki. "You know, you haven't laid a single scratch on me! Use your fire, Todoroki! We're all giving our best to be able to win! It's only fair you do the same!" Hearing this, Todoroki asked Midoriya, "Did my father put you up to this? Is he bribing you, or something? I've told him 1,000 times I am not going to use his quirk." Midoriya continued yelling at Todoroki. "You don't understand! It's your power! It's your power, Todoroki, not his!" Todoroki then told Midoriya, "Okay, just remember, you asked for this." As he activated his fire side, he smiled at Midoriya and began attacking him with everything. Now the fight was really beginning to start, as everyone in the stands was watching on the edge of their seats. They saw Todoroki throwing a combination of ice and fire at Midoriya as he evaded every single hit and taking every opportunity of the small intervals between Todoroki's attacks to attack back. Attacks which Todoroki blocked with his ice. Midoriya told Todoroki, "You won't be able to beat me like that, Todoroki," with a smile on his face, and they were both ready for a full-scale attack. Midoriya threw a Detroit Smash at 100%, and Todoroki used a Flash Freeze Heat Wave. Both attacks collided, causing a huge explosion that knocked both Midoriya and Todoroki out of bounds, and ended up knocking them both out, resulting in a tie. The next few fights occurred. Ida beat Ibara, Kirishima lost to Bakugo, and Tokoyami beat Ashido. The rematch with Midoriya and Todoroki was also, for simplicity, an arm wrestling competition, which Midoriya easily won using one for all that enhanced his strength. And now, the semifinals started. It was Ida versus Midoriya. They both respected each other, and in this scenario, saw each other as rivals. The fight began, and Ida tried to end it quick by pushing Midoriya out of bounds. Sadly, this plan failed as Midoriya reacted too fast and jumped over Ida, punching Ida in the back using a 3% smash. This coupled with the momentum Ida had accumulated, threw him out of bounds, giving Midoriya the victory. The fight between Bakugo and Tokoyami ended the same way, with Bakugo claiming victory. And now, it was the final fight. Bakugo versus Midoriya. A fated battle between rivals. A rematch for the ages. Bakugo began the fight by throwing a giant explosion at Midoriya, who managed to evade it. Before the fight, Midoriya tried to think of different ways to beat Bakugo in a fight that didn't involve him using 100%. But he managed to come up with a plan. Bakugo didn't let Midoriya get close, knowing that if Deku did, he would lose, and so he tried to keep the battle ranged. At a certain point, Bakugo shot a huge explosion at Midoriya again, but this time, Midoriya throws a Delaware punch at the same time, negating the explosion. Midoriya then leapt out from the smoke, throwing a 100% Detroit Smash, which Bakugo evaded, albeit barely. Unfortunately, the wind pressure from the attack threw him off. Midoriya then leapt after Bakugo. While Midoriya was in the air, Bakugo threw the biggest explosion he could to take advantage of the moment, and he was able to throw Midoriya out of bounds, winning the battle. But then Bakugo realized something. Those attacks didn't hurt as much as last time. Midoriya was holding back, and Bakugo ran at Midoriya, screaming at him. At this point, Midnight used her quirk and made Bakugo fall asleep. Later, at the prize-giving ceremony, Bakugo was tied up like in the anime, because he felt he got a false victory. Midoriya ended in second place, and Ida and Tokoyami ended in third, although Ida had to rush to the hospital, so he wasn't there. All Might jumped in and gave the winners a small speech. He told Tokoyami he did well. He told Midoriya congratulations, and thanked him for doing what he asked of him. "Thank you, young Midoriya." He also told Bakugo he did exactly what he said, and what he was going to do. But Bakugo lashed out, saying it wasn't a true victory. And that's our video for today, so thank you all for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it. Before we go, there's a little bit of housekeeping I want to do. First, We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing pleasures. All the information you'll need is right below in the description, so please feel free to check out all the other incredible content our team creates. Second, on behalf of We the Celestials, I want to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details are also in the description. That's it for today's video, so thank you all for sticking around and have an amazing day. And as always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and stay awesome. This has been Tim, Mustache out.